Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving you a fresh take on crypto analytics. Today I'm going to give my take on the events that have transpired over the last few days. It's been a wild ride, almost like bipolar. We had depression, then euphoria, then more depression, and the market has taken an absolute dive. So in this video, I'm going to quickly cover one chart that is kind of telling me that maybe that was the capitulation candle and we might start going up from here. And I'm going to show you one of the indicators and charts that I've used in the past, or two of them. And one I've only covered in brief detail, but one I've covered in a full video that would have either protected you from the dump completely or made you money from it short. And in my case, it was the latter. So let's get straight into it. All right, so just quickly, I'm going to show something that happened in 2015 that could be playing out right now. So if we have a look at the 2015 cycle, we had the top, it was a blow off top. We didn't have that this time. We did have a twin top though, you know, a double peak cycle, if you will. So this was the first peak and then we went up for another peak. It looks quite similar to now, but the peaks were this was just a smaller second peak, so it wasn't anywhere near as high as, say, the 2015 double peak. But you know, this could definitely be in play, because if we look at the risk index, which is what I'm going to cover in this quick chart here, well, it's the opposite to what happened this time. But anyway, so let's just focus on a few things like the pi cycle bottom, where it printed, and also we're going to have a focus on the risk index here. So this is the risk index. It's a custom indicator, and it basically calculates risk in the crypto market, and it's an oscillator. So it shows overbought and oversold, or in this case, I've called it overvalued and undervalued. See here. So these are your sort of DCA in zones, and this is where you sort of DCA out where it starts to get to red. So in the last cycle, it got to red around the $28,000 mark. You know, you could DCA each one of these lines out of the market. So we're just focusing on this for looking at divergences. So for example, the top, the technical top, so that's the first one here, because this was a weird top. This wasn't, if you have a look at the risk index down here, it was really far down in terms of its momentum. So this is a momentum indicator or oscillator of sorts. So it does show momentum. Now, for example, we had this top here and then this top here, and this is the opposite to what I want to show now. But if you have a look in terms of those two tops, we had a lower high and a higher high, but we had a divergence here. So that was a great sign that the market was losing momentum. And then we had the pi cycle top indicator to basically tell us we're done. So I'm going to go back 2015. So we had the pi cycle bottom, and then we had a lower low. So I've covered this in my pi cycle bottom video, that we had a lower low after the pi cycle bottom. So pi cycle bottom was printed here, and then we had a lower low after 217 days. We had a lower low, and it's pretty similar to right now, where we had a low and a lower low after a big move down. So here's the low and here's the lower low, 147 days. And in the last video, I mentioned that this level could still get taken out here. So this was the Fibonacci retracement level here at 17, pretty much 17K. And you can see we pretty much touched that and then bounced off of it. Now, just focusing here, have a look here on the risk index. We have higher highs and higher lows. So look at these higher lows here. So this low just now that's printed is actually higher than where we came down back in June. So that was the bottom back in June. And here is that sort of liquidity grab, if you will, because right here at this level down here, there would be a ton of stop losses and liquidations and all sorts of things down here. Now, you know, could we go lower? It's definitely a possibility. I've got this line, this trend line here as a possible retest, which comes down to 12K. But let me just quickly show you what happened in 2015, because the exact same thing played out in 2015. We had the pi cycled bottom, and this was what looked like the bottom, and then we had a recovery. So let's just zoom in here. We had a recovery. We broke out of the 21 and 20 EMA SMA respectively, this band, failed to hold it, broke straight back down, and then formed this crazy candle here. Now the week isn't over yet, so we don't know if we're going to get this big tail. If we close above like 19K, for example, then that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a big tail. And if we have a look here, the same thing happened. So the risk index was forming higher highs and higher lows, but the chart here was, well, there was higher highs here at least, but you can see we took out the liquidity here. So all the stop losses, everything like that, that was all completely taken out in this big wick here. And then we formed a lower low, so straight like that. And then what happened after that? Well, we recovered. Now, the macro story is completely different, because unless you've been completely out of the loop, which I sincerely doubt, FTX has pretty much gone under because of Alameda Research, like them over leveraging their FTT tokens in order to invest and acquire other companies. A lot of crazy stuff has been going down, and there's plenty of videos out there about it, so I probably won't cover it in great amount of detail, but needless to say, anyone who's in FTX, well, I feel for you, because guess what? I was too. First it was Mango, now it's FTX. Just can't catch a break, huh? So anyway, just from a purely technical perspective here, if we get this big kind of tail in Bitcoin next week when the candle closes, then this could be a classic capitulation candle, because the same things happened here, where we broke above the bull market support band, or the 21-20 EMA SMA respectively. We didn't quite break above it, but we broke above one of the key levels, and then we failed to hold it, and then we smashed right through. As you can see, we're actually also outside of the logarithmic regression band. So that's also pretty crazy. Now, I don't know if this is going to play out, but from what I can see here, and I guess it also depends on how the candle closes on the week, but if we get a decent pullback back into this logarithmic regression band, back into this channel, so somewhere around 19K, then this will just look like a capitulation candle. And the same thing will basically have played out than 2015, which it seems doubtful that that's going to happen, because every cycle's different. But it would be very interesting if this is exactly what happened, or what happens. So I'm looking at the risk index. It's showing a divergence, and the same thing happened in 2015. Similar price action. We didn't really have higher highs and higher lows here, so that's kind of the difference. We had at least a break of this small structure here to form a higher high, but right now it actually kind of looks like lower highs and lower lows here. But the risk index is showing a divergence, so that's kind of what I'm paying attention to at the moment, because if the candle closes back up into this range above some of these key levels, then that's actually quite a bullish sign, because last time we had that, things went pretty crazy. And I'm not saying that'd be the start of the bull market. It wasn't in 2015 either, but well, it kind of was. Times were different though. Times were different. We didn't have recession looming. We didn't have two of the biggest exchanges in crypto feuding, and some crazy moves from CZ basically taking out SBF's empire just about. And I like Sam Bankman-Fried. I think he's a really nice guy. So I'm not throwing shade or anything like that, but for someone to lose or to only have 1/10 of their net value in just the course of a week, that's an incredible loss for anyone. He'd be definitely feeling that for sure. So I'm looking at that. That might play out, it might not, but this is what happened last time, and it seems to be happening again, at least it might be. So pi cycle bottom, and then a divergence on the risk index, and then we have that. If we have that capitulation wick to the downside, then Well, it's looking very similar to 2015, and then we might start to grind back up to the upside. If that fails to play out and we sort of break below some of these levels here, then we're pretty much going, I would say, down to this region down here, because there's not much liquidity. There wasn't much liquidity between where we are or where we were, because we actually fell right through all those key levels, and basically down here at 13k, 14k. So that would be the next stop, I would say, if we were to close this week bearish still. So in my last video, I was very bullish, and naively so, I suppose, because this whole time I've been trading off of this 21 smooth moving average on the 2-day Bitcoin chart, and it has never been able to close above it. So as soon as it could close above it, I was relatively bullish. However, we were not able to hold, which is a rejection technically. So it's just as good as a wick touching the line. So that to me just shows rejection essentially from this level. So this was the path that I thought we were going to take. You know, we had the PSAR flip, which I was pretty bullish on, but we've just flipped back immediately. So, you know, I had a bit Bitcoin long in here, and needless to say, that's pretty underwater right now. I'm just going to look to cut it just in case on the next small pull back up, although it's in FTX, so maybe I don't even need to care about that anymore because I probably won't get that back, but nevertheless. So this was the path I thought maybe we were going to take up to this next smooth moving average, but it's looking like we took this path instead. So up to retest the 21 smooth moving average, reject, and come back down. So we've just overextended essentially. So that's the bearish path, and we've taken that. So maybe we recover from here, maybe we don't. Time will tell. We did on the daily get a significant signal that we were probably going to go down. How much, I wasn't really sure, but it was the 3-line strike on the daily. So we had a bullish candle here, here, and here, and then a bearish candle that takes out the previous one. That's a 3-line strike. And if you see, 3-line strikes precede pretty large moves to the opposite direction generally. So maybe not in this case, but in this case it did. In this case it did. You know, here, 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 for example. So this one didn't play out, or this one. So, you know, I think the probability is much higher that it does play out as a reversal signal of sorts. So anyway, that's pretty much it. This is the path we ended up taking. We just went a little bit higher, essentially, and created a massive bull trap. There was that weekend rally, that Solana news that they were partnering with Google for people with Google Cloud to be able to spin up validators. That created quite a bit of bullishness. I feel like there were players in the background that were offloading. I saw on the 1-minute chart distribution taking place, what looked like distribution. So I was concerned. I was talking to some of my trading buddies that were very bullish. I was sounding quite bearish, all things considered, but I allowed my inner bull to come out, and I accepted a little bit more of that bullishness, which definitely reflected in my video on the weekend. But when I saw this distribution take place, to say I was worried would probably be an understatement, because let me see if I can go back. So to me, this is distribution, right? So when you get these kind of scammy pumps that don't really respect any of the moving averages, and it's just this price action that just kind of bleeds around down. There's no bounces off any smooth moving averages, because I watch these and they always are respected. There's always some sort of movement off of them. There's a bit of movement there, but you can see it just bled. There wasn't really anything stopping it. It did get rejected here, I guess, but just bled. This didn't hold up. Nothing really held up, just fell straight through, went down, and you know, there was just some sideways movement, I guess, and then we continued on down essentially. So just so you can see without all the mess, that's pretty much what I was seeing, is just this bleed without much respecting of the smooth moving averages, which they're very well respected on the 1-minute chart. So when I saw that, I was thinking this looks like distribution, possible bear trap. And then I got a signal from my trusty BB buy and sell indicator. So this flipped to sell on Monday. It's Monday my time. I don't know what that is your time. It depends on where you are in the world. But I did buy this. I did long this here. So I got the buy signal. I front run 21, which is the white line here. Again, sorry about all the lines. Maybe I'll just hide these drawings so you can just see the naked chart, so to speak. So I did buy this here and I took profit along the way at up until 15%. So I was actually out of it at about this stage here. So I didn't really catch the very top, but I don't care because that's not how I like to trade. And then we came down, 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 just bled, did not hold any of the smooth moving averages. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then what happened next is we got the sell signal. This is the 2-hour Solana Bollinger Bands buy and sell indicator. And I'll leave a link to the video down below with a strategy that uses this indicator. So if you want, you can check it out. It has been choppy in the past, but it's given nothing but great trades since the 20th of October. So it's been great. It's been absolutely great. Now, I was able to get into this. I didn't get in at the very start of the move. So when I saw this, I waited for the candle to close and I was like, well, it just retested the 50. So should I just get in or what? As soon as we fell down through the 200, I was like, whoa, this is not good. This is not good at all. And I had my sell order here on the 50. And basically we came up and retested the 50 and then fell all the way through the floor. Now, unfortunately, I didn't hold on to all of this trade, but if I did, that's 100% move, which is insane. So if you are someone who doesn't take profit as prematurely as I do, then you'd probably be laughing right now with this. There was also this rejection here of the 200 once again with all the potential Binance acquisition, but it's just a letter of intent that's not in binding issued by Chirpeng Jia, or CZ as people call him. And he is going to do due diligence and check to see if it's safe or smart to acquire FTX. And if it's not, if they haven't managed their resources correctly on the back end, well then FTX is probably not going to be acquired by Binance, and then we're gonna see many more lows, I would say, in the crypto market. I think doesn't matter what the DXY is doing, even though it's gone down a lot. You know, it broke 110, for example. Like the DXY has broken its trend line. It's gone down below 110. You know, this should be super bullish for everything. It should be super bullish for crypto, but it's not. The stock market's doing all right. So we had this, this breakout of this trend line, retest, come up to this line here, and then I think we're on a path to 4,000 for the stock market potentially, as a possibility, not a certainty. But this is happening. We got this bullishness in the stock market. The DXY is coming down, but it just goes to show how not only narratives but all this incredibly bearish news can really bring everything down in the crypto market. We are subject to volatility through news, there's no doubt about it. And then we have the CPI print this week as well. This week is going to be insane, to be honest. And we might actually we might come back up. There might be a move down, a sell-off, like what's happened the last few times, where we sell off into the event, essentially, and then might just reverse back up. Who knows? We don't really know what's going to happen, to be honest. But this is already insane. This has already been crazy, this price action. Taking out this entire structure, this entire support that held so strong for so long. We haven't closed below it yet though, so that's the thing. This wick could have just been a liquidity hunt, taking out all the stop losses and everything like that, which again is something I mentioned in previous videos, that my belief was, and this might be invalidated very easily, we're all guessing here, but my belief was that we'll come down to basically wick past here, and that'll be it. That'll be pretty much the end of the bear market. That's pure speculation, but this is kind of what I've been saying for a long time, is a high probability that we'll get just a liquidity hunt down here, just to take out all these stop losses and then continue up. But the news is very bearish, and people like me stuck on FTX, thankfully I did get a large portion of my capital out I had a few orders in on Sol still that I got filled at 20, which, you know, I thought that was going to be a great price, but you know, what's 20 in the grand scheme of things now? What's the lowest we've got to? 1678. It's insane. And then we had this crazy candle too. Look at this on the 4 hour. This candle on the 4 hour. So not only did it reject off every single moving average, so have a look here. The 200 was on the 2 hour was here as well. But this entry for a short was insane. It was absolutely insane. And again, I'm already out of this. Not that it matters because that profit is all in FTX. But I didn't actually manage to get my whole position in this. I only put in a small buy order here on the 200 as the retest. And I had the majority down here at the 21, which we already tested 21 in this candle. But you have a look at this blue EMA ribbon here. This EMA ribbon is a series of smooth moving averages. This is the Market Cipher indicator. So this strategy, again, I was able to capture this, aim for 15%, got it all, no problems. With this here, this was the candle, this blue circle is that's where the EMAs flipped. I scaled into a short here and on the 200, this was during that crazy news. This was the jobless figures. And again, I think my average open position was here. That's where that white line is. And was able to capture at least 6% of this move. And then when we broke this trend line, I started to scale out more aggressively. But thankfully, because I took profit, my average open had been pushed way further up. So again, this is played out exactly the same as the previous one. So if you didn't get in here on this flip, so here was the flip, here was the retest, you front run it a little bit, or there's the 200 smooth moving average on the 4 hour. So that's confluence. That's two indicators that were saying we're going down, right? Two indicators. And this was happening live. It didn't matter what your bias was, right? You just ignore your bias. This is what happened. It said sell, and then you sell on the retest of the 50 in this case, and then it went down, right? That was in one sub account. The same thing happened here. So we had the EMAs flip from blue to gray, which is very bearish. Doesn't matter what your bias is. This is the other thing as well. You got to be really careful with if you're got a very bullish bias and you think things are going to go up because yeah, the stock market's going to go up and we're correlated and the DXY has come down. No. Crypto can just do its own thing. That's my personal opinion, is that crypto could just go off and do whatever it wants. So if you didn't get in here, this break of structure here, so we came down right down here. Crazy break. This completely broke the structure here. The bull market, the bull trend completely broken. This candle here broke it. So if you were bullish before and you ignored this, well, this wick here was the perfect second entry. Or if you were long for some reason, I mean, you probably would have stopped out by here because that's 27%. Either stopped out or liquidated, unfortunately. And so I think a lot of people did get liquidated and stopped out because I had the long in. I had my stop loss at the bottom of the range here, but it already closed all of the position anyway because, you know, closed at 15% roughly, and that's right here. So this retest here and this move back down, well, you had another opportunity to get the hell out, right? So we came down, tested some of these Fibonacci levels, wicked back up at the fib here. And again, this Fibonacci is measured from all the way back there. So, you know, it was relevant. Now it's no longer relevant. It's been broken completely. And it looks like Sol is making new lows as I speak. Well, that's just great, isn't it? I'm not in any trades right now because it seems kind of pointless, except for my Ethereum and Bitcoin longs, which I need to flip, but I'm waiting for a chance to do that. Bitcoin is still holding up okay overall, but it looks like Ethereum is coming down to retest these levels. So yeah, this is looking pretty crazy as well. So this was nice, right? So I got in here. This was, I was aiming for a 50% profit. Took one of the profit points already, which is pretty nice. My position was here. Break even came down to about 14 roughly. But then this was too fast, right? If you're managing too many positions, it makes it really hard to deal with them all. So my absolute stop loss is here. That's the kill this trade completely because I don't want to liquidate, but it's going to be a big loss, right? But you know, these things happen. Got to break a few eggs to make an omelet because, you know, I caught this short. That was pretty nice. That was 42%. This long, that was pretty nice. You know, another 43%. This will be potentially a 20% loss. You know, got to give a little back sometimes, I guess. So these two indicators basically that I've covered in previous videos. This one I haven't covered in a great deal of detail yet, but I've just explained it. So it's the EMA's flip. You open a position at the first test of the closest smooth moving average. Generally you take profit at the smooth moving averages below, but we just haven't had any of that. So I algorithmically set mine to 5%, 8%, 10%, 15% sort of deal. So it just kind of scales out as it moves. But you know, like this is the kind of thing that you could get, I guess, if you just held it. But it often turns around, so that's why I like to take profit, because it puts your position in a better place. Like, for example, you know, here we actually never got a retest anyway, so that wasn't really a signal. But here, if you didn't take any profit off this at all, well, this long here was long from here. If you didn't take any profit off this, then it would have been a losing trade, right? So this was back when we were kind of sidewaysy, my first profit point was at 3% and then 5%. As soon as we started getting more volatile, I changed those around. But anyway, so this is insane. And what are the prospects for the long term of Solana? Well, I've been buying the dip, maybe a little too much potentially, but yes, I have been. And you know, we might be going down to $10 at this stage. Where's the next level that we could be looking at as a potential support? Because we haven't really been live for that long. So here's a support here, back on May 21st, we've broken that. So there's a wick here, that would be a support, we've broken that. Here's a support over here, this little cluster of trades, well, that's at $12, which actually isn't that far from here. It's still 32%. So yeah, it looks like Solana's absolutely getting decimated. Maybe this is what the weak candle will look like as a possibility, but who knows? I think the long-term prospects of Solana are pretty good. You know, on the weekend at Breakpoint, they showcased a 1 million TPS run of transactions, which is incredibly impressive and far faster than just about any other blockchain that's out there at the moment. So has good prospects, it has great adoption, has NFTs. I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think in the short term, because of the connection with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, I think the market is panicking and selling it off because they don't know where the low is. Because Alameda Research holds almost 10% of the entire market cap of Solana, which is actually crazy. So if they need to sell off their assets to bail themselves out, well, Solana will be in the crossfire. I think about 200 or 300 million is liquid and the rest is illiquid. So, but that could be just locked. It just in staking. So it takes like 5 days to unlock. So it's not, you know, it's no big process to unlock locked Solana. It just takes 5 days. And then after 5 days, you know, that's it. So let's get rid of these irrelevant things on the chart because this is all broken completely. So yeah, we have this trend line here, completely broken. I was thinking maybe we come back down and retest this line here at 22. I had a buy order at 20. That didn't hold. So, you know, we could be going to $10 or something like this, anywhere between $10 and $12. So we had this cluster of liquidity here. So that would be a level that traders are looking at to buy. But apart from that, we didn't really have anything below. So looking pretty crazy, but this is the chart. But these are the charts that I was talking about that would have either saved you if you were just buying, holding, and then selling spot, or if you were using this to trade short or long. These two charts both said the exact same thing. They just both said, if you're in, get out. And this one also said the same thing on the 4 hour, which is what I like to use this with. The 4 hour and the 15 minute are the two time frames I like to use this for. But yeah, we also, you can see that retested the 200. There's just so many moving averages there of high importance. So the chances of it getting rejected there were incredibly high, especially with all the bearishness and all the FUD. So Solana in the short term looks like it's kind of doomed. Bitcoin might hold up. We will see. We're already pushing back down again. We don't know what's going to happen by the end of the week. We might get a further push But if we get this big buyback to pull us back into this range here, well then that could just be looking like 2015 again. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I think that's more than enough. But I covered these on previous videos. I'm going to leave a link to this in the video description below. And this one I haven't done a video for that's dedicated, but these both told you to get out or to short. And if you followed them the way I do, which is I don't care what my bias is, I just follow them mechanically, then, you know, 88%, or if you got in at the actual signal, 98%. So crazy times, huh? Crazy times. That's it for my analysis. Now I'm off to watch to see what level Sol falls to see if I want to buy any, or maybe I'm gonna wait until some sort of recovery before I buy any more, because catching knives just seems kind of meaningless right now. But any of you out there who are on FTX, there is a small chance that we're okay. If CZ buys FTX, then maybe we'll be okay. But there has been a lot of liquidity that's left the exchange. There's a crunch, and there's a small chance, or there is a chance, and it might not be small at all, that you will never get your money back. And I personally took a large amount of my capital out as soon as I heard this news, because I got kind of run from mango, and I was once bitten, twice shy, and got as much as I could out that I wasn't using as collateral to trade. But in hindsight, probably would have been better if I took everything out. So if you're like me, don't worry, I feel bad for you, and I'm right here with you. And we'll have to see how this weekly candle closes. If it doesn't close back in that range, because the next few days could just keep being bearish. But if we get this big buyback and we come back into the range there on the Bitcoin chart, well, it could just be a capitulation. And then we could be looking at a recovery like for 2015. Seems kind of doubtful that it'll look like that completely. But the divergence on the risk index is pretty interesting. That's the same as what's happening now. But we won't know what that looks like until the weekly candle closes. If it closes below that, like the previous one, then it's not a higher low, it's a lower low. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. Again, check the video description below for those links if you want to check out those trading strategies. I think a lot of people are probably pretty jaded right now by the market anyway, so I don't know if any of them would be really trading that much, but I am. And I am trading on my FTX account, which seems silly because it's like, am I ever going to get that money back? I think I'm going to move to OKX because I like the fact that I can trade within Tradingview on OKX and FTX. Still haven't figured out how to use the OKX chart properly in FTX because it keeps coming with an error message whenever I try to open up a perps position, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, take care out there. I hope you do okay over the coming days of crazy volatility. Things are gonna get, I mean, they're already bad, right? So, I mean, how much worse can it get? Probably, maybe a bit worse. So, all the best. This is Kryptolytix signing out. Have a good one.